I rise with the intention of disrupting the normal business of the United States Senate for as long as I am physically able. I ask you, are you better off than you were 72 days ago economically? I ask that question. Ask it to your friends. Are they better off economically? Well, I don't see how they could be, because prices are up, stock market's down, the risk of recession is climbing, consumer confidence is in the gutter. You don't protect the future by punishing the people who built this country. You don't fix America by throwing seniors or veterans or Americans with disabilities under the bus. That's not how we do things. That's not how we should do things. There are so many hardworking families that believed in this idea. If I work hard all my life in America, I can make ends meet, I can raise my kids, and I can retire with dignity. Congress does have a responsibility to be good stewards of taxpayer dollars. We should do more of that. I want to do more of that. I want to help lead in that fight. But none of us were invited to a table when it came to this. This congressionally established program, FDR I read, but it was Congress that established it, is now not being included in the planning or procedures to try to improve Social Security or make it more efficient or more effective. We haven't convened hearings or task forces in a bipartisan way to find out what we can do to better serve our seniors. Instead, lies are being proffered about Social Security making wrongful payments. Lies are being proffered by the highest office in the land, the most richest person in the land who does not need Social Security is calling it a Ponzi scheme, telling people who are relying on it they're part of a Ponzi scheme. But remember this, Social Security is not the government's money to spend. It's the hard-earned savings of working Americans, and it belongs to Americans. It's not right or left, it's right or wrong. It's not a partisan moment. It's an American moment. It's a moral moment. But every single day, it just seems our president is challenging constitutional principles, pushing past constitutional boundaries. Every day we're hearing news stories of immigrants, some here legally, some awaiting trial, most charged with no crimes, being rounded up, detained, arrested, deported, often just disappeared. This is happening without charges, evidence, trials, hearings, without what the Constitution says, due process. This is what other governments done. We've talked about it. In the Foreign Relations Committee, we complain about it to nations across the earth when they do not show due process, where they disappear people. Maybe you're an immigrant that's never broken the law. Maybe you're a citizen. Even if you think the administration's immigration agenda doesn't apply to you, please know that the reckless behavior we're seeing erodes all of our rights. And the American mother and the American child right now, whose husband was unjustly and illegally deported and is right now in an El Salvadorian prison, think about them. Denying due process is a slippery slope. We've seen it in other countries with democratic backsliding. It is a slippery slope. If people can be detained and deported without a hearing, detained and deported without due process, without seeing a judge, nothing will stop from slipping towards deporting others, making mistakes with an American. Because Donald Trump is rolling back common sense environmental protections, threatening our children's future and hurting our nation's economy. Energy costs in America are continuing to rise, making it harder and harder for working families to pay their bills. And at a time that we should be investing in clean energy, this administration is canceling projects that would create more jobs for Americans and lower energy prices. He claims he supports an all-of-the-above strategy, but that's clearly not what we're seeing. And there's too much silence about it. All Americans, regardless of where you're born, we deserve safe drinking water, clean air, and an equal opportunity for a healthy and fulfilling life. They are trying to gut Medicaid and Medicare programs on which nearly a third of our country rely, all to pay for those tax cuts to billionaires and corporations. They're also dismantling the very institutions meant to safeguard our nation's health and well-being. And this is not the first time. They tried this before during Trump's first administration when he unsuccessfully tried to repeal the Affordable Care Act and cut Medicaid despite its popularity across the nation, across the political aisle. He was going after something that wasn't left or right, that Americans were saying in a chorus of conviction that this is about right or wrong. It is wrong to take away health care for millions of people. I want to stand here today and tell you I'm going to do everything I can. I'm willing to go to some lengths. But I am inadequate. You are inadequate. We're senators with all of this power, but in this democracy, the power of the people is greater than the people in power. This is a moral moment that more Americans need to stand up and say enough is enough. Moment where judges rule in his favor, and he praises them. They just don't rule for him. He drags them and threatens them, so much so that Chief Justice of the Supreme Court has to tell them to back up. When elected officials, speak up, many of them fear what the consequences would be for them or their reelection if they speak against him. And so I've tried over the last 25 hours and 1 minute to center the conversation back on what will we do of good conscience. People who are saying, I served this country, I risked my life, shouldn't be able to keep my job. People who are saying, this country once made itself the envy of the world because we invested in high quality education for every child. I don't like what's going on at the end of the Department of Education. People who are saying, I worked harder than I ever have, but the prices on everything in my life are getting higher. People who are saying that the America I learned about in school, the one where people's rights are protected, the people are saying that why are we yet again going through another healthcare battle that threatens millions of people, the people are saying that I'm worried about the financial security and the future of my country, the voices of folks. And so I end by saying simply this, where I started was John Lewis. I don't know how to solve this. I don't know how to stop us from going down this road. Chuck Schumer's now told me that they're greasing the skids to do these things. I'm sorry, but I know who does have the power. The people of the United States of America. The power of the people is greater than the people in power. It is time to heed the words of the man I began this whole thing with, John Lewis. I beg folks to take his example of his early days where he made himself determined to show his love for his country at a time the country didn't love him. To love this country so much, to be such a patriot that he endured beatings savagely on the Edmund Pettus Bridge, at lunch counters, on freedom rides. He said he had to do something. He would not normalize a moment like this. He would not just go along with business as usual. He wouldn't know how to solve it. But there's one thing that he would do that I hope we all can do that I think I did a little bit of tonight. He said for us to go out and cause some good trouble, necessary trouble, to redeem the soul of our nation. I want you to redeem the dream. Let's be bold in America, not demean and degrade Americans, not divide us against each other. Let's be bolder in America with a vision that inspires, with hope that starts with the people of the United States of America. That's how this country started. We, the people. Let's get back to the ideals that others are threatening. Let's get back to our founding documents, that those imperfect geniuses had some very special words at the end of the Declaration of Independence. It was one of the greatest in all of humanity declarations of interdependence. When our founder said we must mutually pledge to each other, our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. We need that now. From all Americans. This is a moral moment. It's not left or right, it's right or wrong. Let's get in good trouble. My friend, Madam President, I yield the floor.